1 year ago today, I made the decision to quit my job, quit my corporate, comfy tech job. And it was the dumbest decision to everybody in my life because they were like, there's no reason to do this. It's keeping you stable, it's supporting you, and it's your career, and you're just terminating it for no reason whatsoever. You have no backup plan, you have no job lined up, you have no income if you quit this. So, what are you doing? But I just had this very intense feeling that I needed to leave, and I couldn't really explain it to anyone, but it's something that I had been thinking about for a year. So, a year prior, it wasn't a rash decision, but um, honestly, even 2 years prior, and then a year prior, the role was starting to feel quite unaligned for many reasons. Not here to bash anyone or anything, so I'm not going to go into details, but it was getting really, really unaligned, not aligned, very fast. And during this time, my depression and my anxiety picked up really bad. Or actually, like, I won't even claim them. Like, I don't think I have depression and anxiety, like, regularly. I think they started to exist because of the situations I was in and elevated to levels that I had never seen before within myself. So, like, it started with, I mean, it was both at the same time. Like, I was averaging like 4 hours of sleep a night for like, I would say at least 6 months, because I would not be able to fall asleep and I would wake up really early because I was so anxious. And it got to a point where I was like waking up, trembling and shaking. And I just don't think that like that's normal at all. And in terms of the depression, it got to a point where I was waking up in the mornings thinking, I'm sad that I woke up. Like, I'm upset that I woke up and I have to exist today. And I don't think anyone should feel like that. There's no reason that anyone should say, like, it's okay to feel like that. And that's when I realized, okay, there really needs to be change. And, like, tried everything. Like, I moved apartments. I was like, maybe location will make me feel better. I tried therapy. I cut out relationships. I did everything in my personal power to try to accommodate to the experiences I was having, to try to fix the issues I was feeling. But nothing was working, and I realized that the root cause for my depression and my anxiety were probably related to my career at the time, and there was probably only really one way out of this, and that was to leave. I remember that, I mean, this is still happening right now, but at the time too, there was like severe layoffs all the time, every couple of months. And this is like such a weird, unhinged thing to say, but I would like genuinely get like a little upset that I wasn't laid off. Like, I would consider like whoever got laid off lucky in a sense because they got to start a new path or start a new direction, try something different. And I was stuck, which is like ungrateful, obviously. I know that. But I was feeling so much pain and I didn't know how to fix it. And like I said, this like at least lasted a year, if not longer. So it was a very thought out decision, but like every month the feeling of wanting to quit was getting louder and louder and louder until July of last year, where it literally screamed at me. I don't know how to explain. It's very seldom have I had gut feelings that loud to where I can't hear anything else in my brain or my body other than like a singular phrase. And that phrase was quit. Quit now. It was like, you have to quit and you have to quit now. And that feeling got so loud the day before I quit that it's all I could hear. It was like insane. I felt like I was literally going insane. It's all I could hear. It's like, you have to quit and you have to quit now. You have to quit tomorrow. You have to do it now. So I wrote my 2-week notice. And even though friends and family were telling me not to, and I had no backup plan, I don't even think I was in like a proper mental state to create a backup plan. I tried, but I was not there, because I just had been so wrecked at that point. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew what I wanted to do wasn't where I was at currently. And I like looked 10 years down the line and I thought if I was in the same position, then I would hate myself. And if I didn't do something today, then I had a very bad feeling that I would be in the same position 10 years from now. I had a very bad feeling. So I wrote my 2 week notice and I went to my manager, and I'm like, I was going on long drives, like just convincing myself or walking through the pros and cons of quitting. So it took me a long time to write this 2 week notice. I wrote it, and the next day I with shaky hands, gave it to my manager, who looked at it and said, rethink this, and handed it back to me. And I was like, holy shit, bro. I finally got the courage to do the thing I've been wanting to do for a year. And he just handed it back to me and said, rethink this, give it like a week or two, come back. If you really want to quit, then quit again in 2 weeks. And I was like, oh my God, am I making the wrong decision? And is this like a sign from God that like I shouldn't actually do this? And I'm getting a second chance. I'm getting a second chance at life. Am I going to destroy it by actually quitting in 2 weeks? Or, that was like what was running through my head. And so those 2 weeks after handing in my 2 week notice were literal hell on earth, because like the amount of stress and anxiety and indecisiveness and just absolute like distaste for my current life, all of those things became very, very amplified. And like, what is my life going to look like 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line? All of that became amplified in that 2 week period of time. I was like weighing out, like, do I want to wake up every day trembling and hating my life and wanting to like not be here anymore? But while still having health insurance and a stable income and a good career path. And like, it was very, very confusing. Do I want to upset my entire family and all my friends? Do I want to, follow my gut instinct and do what I feel like really is my path, which like, I don't really know, but I'm just going off intuition here. And like, this just feels like the next step is to leave. And it was just like the craziest 2 weeks of my life. And I was like questioning, like, did God give me a second chance? And like, if I quit again, am I throwing it away? But at the end of my 2 weeks, I think as each day went on, at the end of the night, the decision I came to each day was the same, and it was to leave. So because I kept coming back to that core feeling, I listened and I went back and I sat up straight and I smiled and I handed my 2 week. I said, I think I'm leaving. Actually, I know I'm leaving. I'm for sure. And he's like, okay, understood. And I left. And I didn't tell anybody until like maybe a couple months later, but I just like wanted to like soak in that feeling for myself. And I felt good and I felt free, and I felt like it was the right decision to make. And my anxiety and depression like started lifting, and I wasn't getting any of those crazy like symptoms anymore, luckily. And during that time of like depression, I would listen to this song called Australia, and it was like I'm not gonna sing it. I'm not gonna sing it. But it would like, I feel like we all have like a song that like gets us out of our funk and puts us somewhere, like gets us out of our funk, our like shit spot that we're in, and puts us somewhere else, and we can just close our eyes and we can go away for like the 3 minutes and 29 seconds that the song is. For me, that song was Australia. I think it's by Grand Lotus, but I'll write it down. If it's not by Grand Lotus, I'll write it on the screen. Anyways, that was the song that like kept me going during the hard times. So after quitting, I was like, I decided to move to Australia, which is across the world because I live in America. And again, to everybody else, this sounded like the craziest thing in the world. It was like, okay, first you did crazy thing one, which is quitting a completely, perfectly great job and deciding to be unstable and having no backup plan. Great. Then you decided to do thing two, which is also crazy. Moving across the world with, again, no plan, no actual reasoning why. But I did it anyways. I said, look, I get one life, just like you guys, and I get to be young one time. And it's my decision. It's not your decision what I do with my life. And if I don't move to Australia right now after quitting my job, I'm going to regret the hell out of it. And I have a feeling I need to do this, and I'm going to do this. And I don't really care what anyone says or anything, or what they think, or whatever. I don't care. So I got my visa, and I moved to Australia. I just did it. Like, getting quitting the job was really scary. Moving to Australia, I think doing stuff like that is just in my nature. So it wasn't like that scary. And I was in Australia for like a couple months. And then I got the craziest, and I was traveling. I was living in Australia, but I traveled around, and while I was traveling, I'm not going to go into too many details of what happened, but I got the craziest infection of my life. It was a bacterial infection. It was so bad that I had to be transported from one clinic to an actual hospital with an ambulance. I was on IVs. I was hospitalized for like 2 weeks. And it was at this point that I feel like everything changed for me, because I went from being this person who was like severely depressed and anxious to this person who decided to make her own decisions and take life into her own hands and just go based off intuition and quit her job and then move to a different country with no reason why. So it was like a super low to like a super high to then being on the other side of the world and having what I'm going to venture to say was like a near experience. Alone, all alone, like all alone on the other side of the world, where I had single-handedly pulled apart and destroyed my entire life and told everybody in my life that I'm just going to do what I want to do just to get there, and then almost fucking die. No way. There is no way. There is no way. And it was the scariest, genuinely the scariest thing, because there was a period of time where I was not getting better. My fever was not going down. It was very elevated for a long time. I'm so, like, I get goosebumps even talking about it. I did not, like, I was, anyways, I'm so glad I'm better now. But during that time, my shit was just fucking hitting the fan, and I was, like, going in and out of fucking reality, and there was like the first thing on my mind before it got really bad was that like this was a really big thing in my mind. I was like, I haven't done what I want to do with my life yet. I haven't even fucking scratched the surface of it. Like I haven't even come close to doing what I want to do with my life yet, especially related to my career, especially related to my purpose. Like there's so much that I know that I have potential for and that I am capable of, and like I can't leave now. Like there's stuff I have to do. I gotta do some things. Wait, before you take me. But then it got worse. And then all I could think about was my family and how they would be so upset if I was gone. And so I had to stay. And those were like, when it was bad, I was thinking about like the purpose I had on earth. And then when it was terrible, I was thinking about the people who needed me. And I couldn't leave for their sake. And that's why I say, like, I feel like a completely factory data reset my entire life, because that wiped my brain. And nothing mattered anymore. Nothing mattered. The depression and the anxiety that I went through for 2 years didn't matter. And the I'm going to quit my job didn't matter. Like, the Australia didn't matter. I just wanted to be alive. Like, despite every piece of bullshit that had happened to me for 2 years prior, all I knew in that moment was I wanted to live regardless of the circumstance. And I think that was like a very big thing for me. And I also realized that like when I do come out of this, there are two things I want to focus on, and that's my career and that's my family. And coming from someone who's so independent and so like, this is my life and I get one, like saying I want to focus on my family. I'm not a family oriented person, but I like learned how important family is through that experience, and like how when you're in hell, there are just a handful of people who are going to willingly pull up their sleeves and get you out of there, and that is your family. I don't know, like, that's at least like for me. I learned that like friends can be iffy, friends can come and go. If they stay, then you've got some good ones, good job. But your family, like 10 times out of 10, they're going to be there for you. Like, I hope that you have like a family member that's going to be there for you. I learned I learned that, like, I learned how much love I had through that experience. Thank God. I'm so lucky and I'm so blessed. But anyways, so I'm saying all this to say that, like, I didn't intend to have my life go the way it did. And I didn't intend for myself to have so much anxiety and depression to the point where I needed to quit the career that I worked so hard for. And I didn't think that it was going to feel so misaligned when at one point in my life it was my only goal. And when it did, like, it was a really scary decision for me to quit. Like, it felt like the world was ending, but it also felt like I was doing the right thing. And I don't regret quitting. I don't at all. But like, after that, like, okay, so I did that, right? And I didn't intend for any of that to play out the way it did, but it did. And then I did the thing where I quit, and I felt proud of myself, and I thought the hard work was done. And moving to Australia, that was kind of like a pat on the back, but it was also kind of like running. It was like running away. I didn't realize it then. I thought I was just following my intuition and, doing what God willed for me. But truly, I was running. And I think my brain picked up that, like, this song makes me feel safe. So living in this country will make me feel safe, and I haven't felt safe in so long. Moved to Australia. And so I did. But truly, I think that was me trying to escape reality. Like I said, I intentionally didn't create a plan B. I intentionally didn't know what I was doing after. So I was basically running. And I think that's why I so quickly got pulled back, because once I hit the hospital and had the experience that I did, I immediately just went back home to America. It was so disheartening to leave Australia. I loved it so much, but I realized when I was in the hospital that I was running away from, like, my path, and I was just trying to find, like, a place of ease in Australia. And I don't say that's necessarily a bad thing, but I think what I was doing is I wasn't accepting reality or accepting my circumstance. I was just trying to run from it. And I think being in the hospital and realizing that, like, there are really two things that matter to me, and one is, like, my purpose, and then two is my family. And Australia, or, like, living across the world, isn't actually aiding or helping in either of those aspects. Then I realized that Australia was me running. And, like, one day I do hope to go back, and maybe one day I hope to have a house there, but, like, in time. But it was me running. And I think sometimes, like, this is, like, one of the first things, like, I guess I'll say in terms of lessons, is, like, you have to realize when you're running away from reality versus when you're accepting reality. And accepting reality always felt like giving up to me. Like, it always felt like if I accept a situation, then I'm putting my hands up in the air and saying I can't do anything to change it. And that's not true. Like, even the word surrender, like spirituality, like, they always say surrender. That feels like giving up. It sounds like giving up. And it's so, like, not in my nature to not fight. Like, if I want something, all my eggs are in that basket. So it's really hard for me to surrender or accept reality. But I've learned that surrender or accepting reality is not giving up. It's just being aware. Like, there is life around you. Like, you cannot always control it. Like, I couldn't control my job being what it turned out to be, or how I felt being how I turned out to feel. Like, I couldn't control that. I didn't plan it. When it happened, though, it took me a year to accept it. Maybe had I accepted that things weren't a fit prior, I would have been in the right state of mind to start applying for new jobs sooner, to start coming up with a plan B sooner. But I denied it, and I denied it, and I denied it until it got to a point where I literally could not withstand it any longer. And then I went to Australia as a way to, again, deny my reality of, like, this is my situation and where do I go from here? I'm not saying, like, at the end of the day, my path was my path and I learned so much from it. So I'm not saying it's like a negative, but I am saying, like, going forward, I will seek to accept my reality sooner, because only once you accept where you are can you actually create change. But if you're so much in denial of things, then how can you even begin to fix things or make them better, make your life better, make your situation better? So, like, I definitely learned that you have to accept where you're at. Because even having that entire hospitalization situation, I didn't just wake up after that and say, oh, everything makes sense now and I'm so enlightened. Like, I wish I could have just woken up the next day after getting out of the hospital and said, yeah, everything in my past 2 years just made sense and like I'm perfect now. But actually, it was probably the worst after the hospital because I was so angry. I was so angry that this infection had happened to me. I was so angry that I suffered so much. I was still suffering. I had like post-infection pain for like 3 months. I was so angry. And I came home and I was angry that I was home. For 3 months of being home in America, I kept thinking, I'm supposed to be in Australia right now. This was not my plan. This was not my decision. I was still not accepting my circumstances. And I feel like everything that happened, like my job, my like moving, like my like then getting the infection, like none of that was like, I was avoiding reality in each circumstance. And it took me so long to get content with the fact that I'm back home. And only now, I think 6 months after being back home, I've realized that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is exactly where I was supposed to end up. Where I go from here is going to be where I'm supposed to be. I finally feel like I have like myself again. Like I have my brain again. I have my thoughts again. They flow properly again. I'm not waking up depressed. I'm not waking up anxious. I'm actually happy to live life. And there is no alternate agenda in my head of like what reality should be. What reality is exactly what it is, and I'm happy. And like what I want to become, like I have a clear, and maybe I don't have the clearest idea. I don't think anyone has the clearest, maybe some people do, but like I can accept that I'm not where I want to be and yet have a plan to go there. Not think, oh, things should be this way or this wasn't my plan, or be angry about life. Like, it is what it is. You are where you are. You're where you meant to be. You've learned what you needed to learn, and like go from there, operate from there. And it's a shame. I don't know. I don't know if I want to say it's a shame, but it took me a while to learn this. It's like ironic, like after what I would say ended up being the toughest thing that happened to me, which was being hospitalized on the other side of the world. Only after that, and then after 3 months of like dealing with that, did I realize that like I'm not mad that any of this happened, or that like I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. Like I've made peace with the entire situation. I understand it. I understand why it had to happen. But I think before that, my mindset towards like things that were bad were always like, why did this happen? It was my fault. There's something I need to fix. You know, I need to fix my circumstances. This isn't okay. I would just like fight everything. Acceptance is like really hard to describe because it's literally nothing. It's okay. That's all it is. Just it's okay. When you say it's okay and you accept exactly where you are, that is the only time you can truly make change, because you are seeing your starting point. You're like looking at it with clear eyes. Okay, now we can figure out how to make it better. But when you're in this constant state of like denial or like resistance, things shouldn't be this way, or like this isn't fair, or like I don't know, then your brain is too clouded with like this cognitive dissonance of what should be and what is, for you to actually be effective in like turning your life around or making it better. You're just sitting there kind of fighting with reality, which is a useless fight. It's a useless fight. And that's why like manifestation and stuff like that, to me, I literally went through, during this depression, during this anxiety, I went through like spiritual psychosis of thinking I could just control my reality, and if I think hard enough, then like my circumstances will change. And like that's why I like very much so hesitate, because although I still believe like think positive thoughts and like write down the things you want to achieve and all of those like manifestation-esque things, I do think there's a fine line between like that and like resisting the place you're already in. I do think that we have to humble ourselves in the face of destiny and like be ready to accept what is before we can become what we want to or need to be. It's like step 1, step 2. You can't jump to step 2. You have to start with step 1. Accept what is. Stop trying to change what is. Stop trying to change what is. And only do I think when I was like in a hospital bed did I realize like I truly have no control. And the only reason like I will make it out of this good is because of the doctors that are helping me and my family that is making sure that they are there with me every step of the way. None of this is my doing. I have no play in this. Like, my body is obviously like working as hard as it possibly can to fix itself, and I am so grateful for that. But like, other than that, I am at will of destiny, and I am at will of the people around me, and I'm so grateful. I am so grateful that I am at will of the world right now, and I don't have to do this myself. I don't have to do this myself. You do not have to do things alone. You're not alone in this world. There is a path for you. Stop trying to control everything. Accept what is. Make peace with the things that you cannot change. Do not try to change people. Accept people for who they are. I hate when people say this, but let it go. And you won't understand it until you understand it, because if you're anything like me, I was in a fist fight with reality for 2 straight years. I came out battered and bruised. You will not win when you are fighting reality. No matter how hard you try, you will not win. The more I resisted reality, the harder my path back to opening my eyes was. And that resistance was having, back and forth with my job of whether or not I should quit, and like, can it get better? Can it get better? Can it get better? And then also moving to Australia and thinking that that would solve all my problems when it was really just me running. Resisting reality in both circumstances. Okay? The kickback to real life was me getting incredibly sick and being completely helpless and getting shoved right back to where I started, back home. And only then could I sit down with complete quiet, with nothing in my hands, because when I had quit my job and decided to move to Australia, I sold my car, I sold all my clothes, I sold everything I owned, I let go of my apartment lease, everything was gone, and I came back to nothing. And so only when I came back to nothing, and I had nothing, and only when I came back to nothing and I had nothing was I able to see life clearly for the first time. Because I didn't have any sort of mirage or like facade of success anymore. I didn't have a career. I didn't have a car at the time. I didn't have an apartment. I didn't have anything to back me up or to look at to say, no, I'm okay. I literally had to humble myself, tuck my tail between my legs, and start from scratch, start from zero. And like, forget the material, I barely had my body back for 3 months after. I was half my weight. I was losing my hair. It wasn't a good experience, guys. And only when I had lost literally everything, and I was so weak that I couldn't even fight reality anymore, that only then was I able to actually face reality. Before that, I was so scared to accept my circumstances because I thought they made me a failure, or I thought that if I accepted where I was, then I would never get to where I wanted to be. All of that was wrong, though. And only when I genuinely lost everything was I able to accept my circumstances and my reality, because I had no other choice but to say, okay, I don't have a car, I'm gonna walk. Okay, I don't have any weight on me, I have to eat. Okay, I don't have a job, I have to start applying again. Okay, I have nothing and I have to start building everything. And I feel like resistance is the worst form of hell, because you're not where you want to be, but you're too busy fighting with reality to even work on changing your circumstances. And I think that there is a lot of humbling that comes in accepting reality and letting go. I think you have to let go of your ego, everything being about you. Like, oh, this job sucks because they hate me, or I'm moving to Australia and no one can tell me what to do, and I and me and I and me, and maybe things just are the way they are. And yeah, you're affected, but things just are the way they are, and what are you going to do about it? I think letting go of ego has been a very, very big thing for me, because I think that's how you accept reality. That's how you surrender. You stop making it about I, me, my. And you just start saying, this is, this is, this is. Even with relationships, you want to change someone so bad. You want them to be with you or love you or not cheat on you or whatever. That's them. That's them. It has nothing to do with you. I always say this. I always say, this has nothing to do with you. Even if they cheat on you, it has nothing to do with you. That just is. They just are. Everyone is experiencing this world through their own perspective, through their own history and their own lives. And if they're making decisions, they're making decisions based off of all of that, not just you. So I think that's the simplest example to pin it down to, but I think letting go of ego is a very good way to start accepting reality and stop resisting. And I keep saying this because I really want you to understand it. The minute you accept things as they are, the way they are, this person doesn't like me, okay. This job isn't aligned anymore, okay. I'm going to Australia for no fucking reason whatsoever. Maybe I should rethink it, okay. The minute you start accepting reality, what do I actually want out of life? And is this aligned? That's the only time you can make your actual change and get to where you want to go and be happy. But depression and anxiety, I feel are at least for me, they were just out of pure resistance. It is it's the most powerful thing you can do. The most powerful thing you can do to say, okay, this is what it is. Okay, where do I go from here? And the only way I actually got to doing that. And this is why I say everything happens for a reason. I understand why I am the way. That's why I say everything happens for a reason. I understand why I am where I am today, is because the only time you can actually change your circumstances and make your life what you want it to be is when you say, this just is, and that's okay. And I couldn't say that. I couldn't say this just is and that's okay until I got to a point where I had nothing to stand behind me and say, oh, Nika has a job, Anika has a car, Anika has an apartment, I had none of that. Anika has fucking hair. I had none of that. I had none of that, and I had to say, there is no hiding anymore. I genuinely just have to accept this. I literally cannot run anymore. I cannot run. I cannot hide. There's no lying to myself. There's nothing. Where do I go from here? Starting from zero. So I went to the gym, even though I could barely go upstairs without being out of breath. I still went to the gym. I walked to the gym. I walked because I didn't have a car. I accepted what life was. Because I had no other choice. And now my hair is growing back. It stopped falling out. I have all my weight back. I have had 3 interviews with 3 different companies. I don't know what my path is when it comes to like corporate or whatever, but I don't know what my path is. Okay, I'm exhausting all my options, but like I'm making traction, guys. And this is probably the most traction I've made in the past fucking 2 years. And it's because I hit rock bottom and I realized that I cannot run or hide from anything anymore, and I have to just accept it as it is and move on. So if I have like one piece of advice for you, accept reality. Be clear with what you want out of life, and then acknowledge that reality is or is not that, and be okay with it. And then move from there. And one more thing that I would like to say for anyone that's similar to me at all is during this time, my Instagram feed, my YouTube feed, my other social medias, whatever, it was all about manifest your dream life and like do this like meditation and like everything will turn out perfect tomorrow. It was all feeding into my resistance because I thought that if I watched this video or if I made this quick change or if I did this quick thing, then like life would magically turn out perfect. Or if I changed this one person's mind, that's a completely different person than me, that's making a completely different decision than I am. But if I had the power to change their mind somehow, then like my life would be perfect. None of that is the answer. And I went through it all for you guys. I'm telling you, like, don't do it because I already did it. Like, it doesn't work. I'm not saying don't manifest. I'm not saying don't hope to change your life. I'm saying accept things, surrender, let go. It's okay. It's okay that things are the way they are. It sucks. I'm sorry. But only when you accept it can it get better. And these like things on social media that make you feel like you can snap your fingers and things will change. Unfortunately, it's never been like that. It will never be. I know you hate me when I say it. I know you don't want to accept that like things can't change for you in an instant. They can. But what people don't realize is like years of work is put into the instant. The instant is not just the instant singularly. Anyone who becomes anyone will have told you, I did this for years and I failed and I picked myself up and I failed and I picked myself up. Not I fell asleep to a manifestation, meditation, and I woke up, my life changed. Am I a hater for saying that? Am I a piece of shit for saying that? You have to like, in part of surrender is accepting that things are not going to change in an instant. I tried to change things in an instant by moving across the world and thinking, and like in many situations, changing your environment is beneficial and it does help, like obviously. But in my instance, you have to be very clear with yourself on why you're actually moving or why you're actually making a decision. Because in my instance, it's because I was running and I wanted the feeling of success without actually working for it. It's like embarrassing to admit, but it's the truth. I wanted to feel like I was worth something or I like had done something with my life. That's it. Especially after going through chaos for like 2 years or one year, I don't know, however long fucking it took. I wanted to feel like I had done something, but I spent all of that time resisting reality, and then I moved, and that was another act of resisting reality, but trying to pretend like I actually like did something with my life. And yeah, was it brave to move, and was it cool to move, and did it give me a lot of experience and like joy? Yes. But is it my path? Clearly not, because I'm back here. Maybe it will be my path one day. Yeah, like with that being said, just like accept where you're at, because only when you accept where you're at can you go somewhere new. If you keep resisting, you'll like fall into a state of permanent resistance, and it will get deeper and deeper and worse. I hope I'm making sense to you. If you're in a situation where you feel like things are crumbling around you and it's not your decision and like life doesn't feel like what you planned or what you intended, and you should be somewhere else but you're not, or you should be doing something else and you're not, and how do you get there fast? I hope this video helped you. Accept where you're at, go from there. Don't think things are going to happen in an instant. They're going to happen for you, but only if you put in the sincere efforts and you actually try to make it happen. Stop trying to change people. Stop trying to change circumstances. Reality is reality. Where do you go from there? Okay? I love you so much. Take care, and I will see you in the next video.